先般の衆議院選挙で、国民民主党は、選挙前の7議席から28議席に4倍に議席を増やすことができました。
In the recent election, the DPP was able to increase our seats in the Diet from 7 to 28, an increase of 4 times.
41人の小選挙区での候補者しか出せませんでしたけれども、比例票で前回259万票だったものが617万票に増えました。617万ですね。
以前が
259。
すみません。And so in the single constituencies, the single state, we had 41 candidates, and in the proportional electorates, we were able to raise the number of votes from 2.59 million previously to 6.17 in this election.
増えた要因として2つ考えられると思っています。
There are two particular reasons I see for this increase.
一つは多くの政党が政治と金の問題に多くの議論を時間を費やす中で、私たちは手取りを増やす経済政策を正面から訴えました。
I think that the first is that many of the political parties were focusing on the issue of the political funds issue and raising their time and questions in regards to this. However, we very much directly and from the front on focused on the issue of how to increase the pay in hand for the public.
で、その対象は、若者、現役世代をターゲットにして政策を訴えました。
And with our focus on economic policies, this was particularly targeting young people and those of working age.
今、日本は高齢者が多いですし、高齢者ほど投票率が高いので、与党だけではなく、野党もまた多くの野党が高齢者を支援する政策を主に訴えます。
In Japan, there is, of course, a very large elderly population. In addition to this, it is also an elderly population that has a very high voting rate as well. Therefore, not only the ruling party, but also opposition parties have a large focus on policies which are in support of the elderly population.
そんな中で私たちは、若い人、現役世代をターゲットにした、手取りを増やす経済政策を訴えたことが、議席が増えた要因の一つだと考えます。
Therefore, I believe that within such a context, the fact that we were focusing on economic policies, and particularly those which would look at how to lead to an increase in the pay in hand for the young and working age generation people, was one of the factors that led to this increase in our number of seats.
2つ目は SNS、とりわけ YouTube をはじめとした動画を積極的に活用したということです。
And the second was our proactive utilization of social media, particularly videos and YouTube.
こういったことがですね、我が党が議席を増やすことができた2つの大きな要素だと思っています。
So I believe that these are the two primary factors, the major factors which led to our party experiencing such an increase in the number of seats.
ただ私たちには高揚感、あるいは興奮というものが全くありません。
However, we are not just, resting on this success, just being excited by this result.
なぜならこの議席の増加はそれだけ今の日本の若い人や現役世代が困ってるし、将来に不安を感じていることの表れだと思っているからです。
The reason for this is we believe that this increase in the number of seats also indicates how much the young people, working generation in Japan, are experiencing difficulties at the moment and also feeling this sense of unease in regards to the future.
だからこそ、その期待をしてくれた若い人や現役世代の、声に応えるために、選挙で掲げた政策、この手取りを増やす経済政策を、何が何でも実現していきたいと考えています。
And this is especially the reason why, in order to respond to these voices, these calls from the young people and working generations, it's why we need to look at doing all that we can to ensure an implementation of those policies which we were putting forward during the election, including this increase in pay in hand.
特に、訴えたのが、所得税の、基礎控除を引き上げて、今税金のかかる水準が103万円からということになってますが、これは1995年、今から29年前に決まった基準です。で、そこから約30年デフレが続いたので、この基準は変わらないままなんですが、今インフレになってきてますので、この基礎控除を引き上げて 178万円まで引き上げるというのが、私たちの経済政策の大きな柱です。
And one of our main pillars in regards to our economic policy is looking at the figure of the basic deduction for income tax. This is set now at the standard of 1.03 million Japanese yen. However, this is a figure which was decided in the year 1995. That's 29 years ago. There was deflation continuing in the period close to 30 years since after that. Therefore, there has been no change whatsoever made in this standard figure that was decided almost 30 years ago. However, now Japan is experiencing a period of inflation. This is therefore why we are calling to increase this to 178 million yen instead as our basic policy.
加えて、1995年から今日まで最低賃金が 1.73 倍になっています。
In addition to this, also, the basic minimum wage has increased since the year 1995 until now by 1.73%.
この103万円の水準を変えずに、いくら最低賃金を上げても、結局、働く時間を調整して、103万円に所得を抑える人がたくさん出ているので、豊かになれません。
So, however, even with a change in the increase in the minimum wage, without having a change in this basic deduction figure on income tax, it is leading to people who are therefore just adjusting their time working, their working hours to ensure that their income will remain within this figure as well, which is not leading to a richer situation at all.
178万円という基準は、最低賃金がこの29年間で 1.73 倍になっているので、103万円も 1.73 倍にして、178万円という数字を訴えました。
The figure of 178 million yen, which we are proposing as the new figure, is based on also the proportion of the increase that has been seen on minimum wage as well. From 1995, in the 29 years since, the minimum wage has increased by 1.73 times. Therefore, we are also proposing a 1.73 times increase on this basic deduction figure to bring it to 178.
最後に今後の、政策実現についての、戦略を申し上げます。
And finally, I would like to speak about our strategy for realizing these policies from now.
この選挙の後、現れている今の日本の政治の現状は、いわゆるハングパーラメントという状況だと思います。
I think that the situation that has come to arise since the recent election in Japanese politics is the situation of a hung parliament.
今までは自民党と公明党が過半数を占めていたので、自民党と公明党の内部で了承が得られれば、すべての政策が決まるという状況にありました。
Until now, because the LDP and Komeito combined have continued to maintain a majority, it has meant that as long as there is internal agreement between these two parties, all policies have been passed according to that.
しかしその状況が今崩れてしまったので、自民党、公明党だけでは政策、法律、予算を決めることができなくなっています。
However, that situation has now fallen apart, meaning that it is no longer possible for policy, legislation, or budget to be passed just through the LDP and Komeito alone.
で、多くの人はこの状況を不安定化したと、政治が不安定化したというふうに呼びますけれども、私たちはこの現状をプラスに捉えています。
Many people read or interpret this situation as a kind of uncertainty in politics. However, for us, we actually take this situation as a positive.
というのも今まではですね、とにかく自民党、公明党が決めれば、もう数の力で、すべて押し切ることができたんですけれども、それができなくなったので、自民党、公明党も私たち国民民主党をはじめ、他の野党の意見も丁寧に聞かなければいけなくなっています。
The reason being for this, that until now there has been a situation that if something is decided within the LDP and Komeito purely based on numbers, they are able to push any kind of policy through. However, they are no longer able to do this. This is not the case. So therefore, they now need to listen sincerely to the voices from opposition parties, including our party, the DPP.
でも同時に野党もまた 新たな、そして大きな責任を負ったと思っています。
At the same time, however, the opposition parties also, as a result of this, have a new and significant responsibility.
今まではですね、自民党、公明党が過半数を割るということは想定されなかったので、とにかく野党は基本的にはもう反対するということが、主な戦略戦術でした。
The reason being, until now, it had not been anticipated that there would be a situation that the majority of the LDP and Komeito would be broken. Therefore, the role, or rather the strategy of the opposition parties was very much a role of being in opposition in protest.
でもこれからの野党は単に反対するだけではなくて、このハングパーラメントの中でより建設的な議論、建設的な提案を行っていく責任を負っていると思っています。
However, from now, within this situation of the hung parliament, the role and the responsibility of the opposition parties is not only to be in opposition, to be going against the policies which are being put forward by the ruling government. Rather than that, it is looking at how to create constructive debate and also put forward and create proposals within the parliament.
今、日本だけではなくて、世界を見ても、極端な主張であったり、あるいはこの分断ということが政治の世界でも広がっています。
Not only within Japan, but globally as well, we are seeing within the sphere of politics an increase and expansion of both extreme positions and also division.
そんな中で対決より解決、政策重視ということを訴えて、議席を4倍に増やすことができた私たち国民民主党の果たす役割は極めて大きいと自覚をしています。
Within such a situation, we see that our position, our standard, looking not at tensions but at resolution of issues, also having policy at the heart, having policy as the highest priority, has what led to our large increase in the election and also is the role that we as the DPP are to play from now.
この新しい政治状況の下で、ぜひ、私たち国民民主党も積極的な役割を果たしていきたいと思いますし、また私たちに託してくれた国民の思いを実現できる政策の実現に全力で取り組んでいきたいと思います。
So with this new political situation as a base, we as the DPP are hoping or pledging to continue to take this kind of an active role going forward, and also looking at the trust that people have placed in us as the party as well, looking at how we can implement policies that will realize their will, what they are calling for.
月曜日の主犯指名選挙では、1回目も、そして決選投票でも、玉木雄一郎と書くつもりであります。石破さんとも書かないし、野田さんとも書かないということで臨みたいと。私たちは誰と組むかということではなく、何を実現するか、つまり政策を重視をして、これからの意思決定をしていきたいと。それが私たちの基本方針だということで臨んでいきたいと思います。
In the election to select the Prime Minister upcoming on Monday, in both the first round of voting and also the second or runoff round, we will be writing Tamaki Yuichiro. We will not be writing Mr. Ishiba nor Mr. Noda on either of those votes on Monday. For us, it is not who we partner with, but what we are realizing, therefore keeping policy at the core. This is our basic stance and how we pledge to go forward in decision making from here.
最後に私たちにとっても来年の参議院選挙が極めて重要だと思っています。今回衆議院選挙で4倍に議席を増やすことができましたが、やはり参議院でもしっかりと議席を増やせるかどうかが、私たちがこれから伸びていくかどうかを決める、大きな試金石になると思っているので、もう早速参議院選挙に向けて候補者の発掘擁立、これに全力で取り組んでいきたいと思っています。以上です。